ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Phone Booth here on TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin. My name is Edward Heitman. Joining me in the studio, as always, are my good friends and co-hosts, Brian Rodriguez.
Hello.
And Parker Spurlin.
Oh, hello.
In case this is your first time watching the show, the Phone Booth is completely dedicated to the world of pop culture. Anything from movies to video games to TV shows, you name it, and we will do our very best to cover it. Now, before we get into it real quick, Parker, would you mind adjusting the mouse on the camera screen? Is popping up there on the live feed. Now, unlike some of our previous episodes, we actually have a very thick script today, which is always a great thing for us here at the Phone Booth, because it means we have a lot to cover with you, the audience. Now, let's start off with a little interview that we've had that happened with Bob Iger.
Yes, Bob Iger, for those who don't know, is the CEO of Disney. Big Cheese.
Kind of a big company.
Yeah, you might have heard of it.
I mean, like one or two shows?
Maybe a couple movies.
It might own like half the entertainment industry at this point. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's like a octopoly or monopoly, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So, from Iger, we got some updates on the content that will be on Disney+, and specifically some of the Fox properties. Now, many edgier properties from Fox, such as Family Guy, Deadpool, a lot of their FX shows, will not be moving to Disney+, instead just staying on Hulu, in order to sort of maintain Disney's more family-friendly feel, which, you know what, I get.
I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did we really expect Family Guy to pop up on Disney+?
No, but it was a question, and I think it was a good question, given there's still some uncertainty about how the two companies are integrating.
True, because that is one of the things that people were kind of wondering about. You know, Family Guy and American Dad, and other shows that are owned by 20th Century.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But I mean, with Deadpool, it's not a surprise either, because I mean, they did mention that Deadpool, the next Deadpool movie would be a rated R film and everything.
Yeah, until they announce, we're thinking about PG-13. I'm still not sure we're getting another Deadpool.
They'll do a Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. No.
He reconfirmed that there will be a Star Wars film hiatus after Episode 9, which we already knew, but now with the exit of D.B. Weiss and David Benioff from their trilogy of Star Wars films, it's unclear exactly what the schedule for films will be going forward.
I think it's schedule.
Sure. He also said that there are now several unannounced Star Wars shows in production for Disney Plus to sort of fill the gap.
I mean, several unannounced shows, though?
Yeah, well, we've got The Mandalorian, we've got Obi-Wan, we'll probably... I don't know, it could be interesting.
It kind of feels like what Marvel did when they tried to announce all these different properties that are going to come out like all at once, and then we found out later on that each individual one kind of got postponed or pushed away.
Yeah, a little bit. And perhaps the biggest news is he announced he plans to retire in 2021. That will have put him at the helm for about 15 to 16 years as CEO of Disney, and under his tenure it saw them acquire Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Fox.
People are going to try and consider Kevin Feige taking his place, possibly.
Possibly. Who knows? It's Disney's succession has been kind of complicated.
Mm-hmm. Very complicated.
Though, speaking of Kevin Feige, he recently said something, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Now, Kevin Feige recently confirmed that some Disney Plus Marvel shows will be required viewing for future movies. This is something that kind of rubs me the wrong way here. The one that he pointed out in particular is the upcoming Doctor Strange movie in the Multiverse of Madness, specifically citing that Loki and WandaVision would be needed to further understand the plot of this movie.
Now, we kind of knew this about WandaVision because we knew Scarlet Witch would be appearing, and they confirmed that the events of WandaVision would impact her in the movie.
Right.
Loki is kind of a surprise, though, as Loki is, from what we know, sort of separate from everything else.
I don't know, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way, hearing that people will have to watch TV shows to kind of understand the plots to movies. I know for a while it was kind of the opposite. Sometimes with shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's best to have watched some of the Marvel movies beforehand. But it feels like MCU movies from this point forward are going to be a lot like the comic books, where there's going to be little annotations that pop up saying if you want to understand this plot or this character, you'll have to watch this show or something to further understand.
Yeah.
Which, if you're an avid comic book buyer, sure, that's fine, and you'd be able to do that. But for some people who could probably only afford one medium,
Well, it comes down to this. Money.
Money.
Yeah, my main issue is not that it's going to, the shows are going to be required viewing. It's the fact that it's the shows on the subscription service.
Right.
That
It's not even on TV.
Yeah, you'll have to pay an extra $12 a month to be able to pay them $16 to watch their movie in the theater and have it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, buddy.
Hmm.
Hey, you like Doctor Strange?
You like the universe making sense?
You like
A little bit?
A little bit.
Continuity?
Mm-hmm.
All that jazz?
All you gotta do. Hey, stream service.
We'll work out a deal here. We'll give you a little
deal.
bundle.
Little bundle. That's all I'm saying.
Now,
We're fake.
let's go on to some more Disney news that we have.
We've got a lot of it.
A lot of Disney news.
Disney. Thatney. Miney. My needs. I have a lot of those.
Now, this is against people's wishes, actually. Against Robert Downey Jr.'s wishes, actually.
Yes, we previously talked about how Disney was submitting the directors of Avengers Endgame and some of the behind-the-scenes crew for Oscar consideration, and there was sort of a fan uproar that no one submitted Robert Downey Jr. or any other actors, and Robert Downey Jr. came out and said, "You know what? I don't really want them to submit me."
Yeah.
So now they've submitted him, and Disney has decided to submit 12 other actors for Oscar consideration. It's going to be Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, Josh Brolin, Paul Rudd, and Don Cheadle have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor, while Scarlett Johansson, Gwyneth Paltrow, Zoe Saldana, Karen Gillian, and Brie Larson were nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
The only one I think, I don't know. I think the one on that list that really,
The one that you can
takes,
agree with.
Yeah, takes a shine to is Josh Brolin.
I don't know. Honestly, he didn't really have as much of a presence in Endgame than he did in Infinity War. I could see him getting an award for Infinity War, but Endgame...
Yeah, and there are two names on there, Don Cheadle and Brie Larson. Both of them are terrific actors.
Oh, yeah.
But they were barely in the movie.
Barely in there.
I'd agree with that, but I wouldn't agree with the Josh Brolin one just because I think you're right that in Infinity War it took more of a presence, but Endgame wasn't really about Thanos.
Yeah, and
Infinity War was more about Thanos.
And when Thanos was in Endgame, they took him from a more complex villain to, I'm just going to destroy the universe for fun now.
Yeah.
Which, that's the one thing about that movie that really rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, I can understand, Robert Downey Jr. being, put into consideration for the award because Tony Stark had a huge role in Endgame and whatnot. It's kind of odd that they submitted it in, even though he said he didn't really want to be submitted in. I know it's not that big of a deal, but still, it's like...
Yeah. I do like that it's all for supporting actor and actress. They didn't name any of them specifically the leads, which is nice, because with an ensemble film this big...
Everyone was kind of a supporting actor.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, there were really no leads.
It was about the Avengers, not one particular Avenger. It was just
Game of Thrones.
We're looking at you.
I'm looking at you, Game of Thrones.
That was a no-no. But
yeah, that was a big oopsie.
That was a big oopsie-doozy. That's a kerfuffle.
Now to a different Disney property, because there are like 80 million of them.
So many of them right now.
Yeah. Do you think that they're gonna make Aliens vs Predator with because they own Fox Entertainment? And
Deadpool's just gonna jump in there.
And Fox's Entertainment owns Aliens vs Predator. We're not gonna get one without Disney say.
Yeah.
Ironically, Aliens and Predator had a crossover with DC, not Marvel.
Yeah, it was Batman fought both of them. Batman actually fought a xenomorph and actually did a fairly... That was actually a surprisingly decent comic.
Yeah, and Batman vs. Predator wasn't that bad either. It was actually an interesting take.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I used to read all the... I read all the Alien vs. Predators, the Batman vs. Aliens.
Did you see Archie vs. Alien?
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about that. But
anyways, let's talk about Star Wars.
Yes. It has been confirmed that General Leia, portrayed by the late Carrie Fisher using unused footage from previous movies, will only appear on screen for 8 minutes in Rise of Skywalker. Now that makes sense because she did tragically pass before the release of Last Jedi. It has been a while.
Yeah.
It has also been revealed that early plans for Rise of Skywalker would have been more Leia-centric, giving her as each member of the original cast was supposed to have sort of their movie. I mean, Harrison Ford had
Solo.
Yeah.
No, he was sort of Han Solo was sort of the central focus of Force
Awakens.
Yeah, and then Luke had Last Jedi. Why am I having trouble with the names? Yes, and Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be Leia-centric.
Yeah, why are you having trouble with the name? I mean, It's like we don't. It's like we hear it on a constant daily basis.
Yeah.
Well,
for Star Wars.
No, we're hearing people constantly refer to the movies by episode number, not the name.
I mean, I do it in the script all the time because it's easier. It was also revealed that before the end, Leia would have gone full Jedi, wielding a lightsaber and the Force.
This totally would have explained that scene with Leia in space, and she used the Force to fly herself over to the airlock.
It would have been. It has basis in the expanded universe, and yes, you know what? I still stand the expanded universe.
I don't consider the expanded universe canon, considering
Oh,
how
it's not.
often Disney wants to say this is not canon until we want it to be canon, and then it's canon.
Yes, but there was at least
The
some
movies.
precedent for it.
You know what's canon? Movies.
And shows.
And you know what? And you know what happened to the Last Jedi? You know the movie. Leia used the Force.
That was.
At least the Rise of Skywalker would have given some.
Awesome.
At least Rise of Skywalker would have given some proper explanation to that.
It just seems so out of left field.
It really did feel out of left
field. Wait, when?
She mentioned the Force and everything, but in Star Wars, everyone mentioned the Force.
We knew that she was Force sensitive. We didn't know that she had like Force power, like she can control it and harness it.
I mean, it's hard to tell if she could control or harness it. I mean, it only really activated when she was sucked out into the vacuum of space. It may have been a fight or flight response type of thing.
Well, I mean, okay, that makes more sense because the Force does kind of work on instinct.
Yeah. Anyways, in non-Disney news, which, believe it or not, we have a few of those before more Disney news because I forgot to format the script correctly.
I'll handle this because I tend to cover the Fortnite news, so I'll cover this one. In a recent video, professional...
Release your inner
floss?
Your inner floss.
No, we call it a Fortnite dance now. We call every dance a Fortnite dance.
Yep.
Don't call it a Fortnite dance.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, in a recent video, professional Fortnite player FaZe Jarvis announced that he has received a lifetime ban from the game after he used cheat software during a video.
Yes.
The video in question is no longer available, but in it, Jarvis demonstrated an aimbot, or a piece of software that assists aiming in first-person shooters. In lamest terms, it's some kind of cheat you put in to where you don't have to aim, it aims for you.
Also, it should be noted that Fortnite isn't a first-person shooter, it's a third-person
shooter.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part in the script.
Yeah.
I've never played Fortnite.
While Jarvis at many points told viewers not to use the software, he himself did use it in that game, which developer Epic has a zero-tolerance policy for.
Yes, and there's been a lot of conversation about whether the ban, it's a lifetime ban, and it's been argued that is that too harsh for Jarvis is 17 years old, and I don't know if it should have been lifetime. I do think it should have been a multi-year ban.
If he were a casual player, I could see the punishment being a bit too much. I could see it being a temporary ban being more suitable, but this is a professional player.
Yes.
This is when the people watch their streams and watch them perform in like tournaments and whatnot. This,
in
when
sports,
you're
if you get caught cheating, you get banned for life.
Exactly, and he's playing esports, which is considered more and more to be an actual sport nowadays.
Yes, and there have been several esports professionals and professional streamers, such as Ninja, one of the biggest streamers in the world, who have been arguing that because he makes a living off of Fortnite, he should have received a reduced sentence because he is an influencer and someone who makes money off of Fortnite, which no. If anything, because you make a job out of Fortnite, because you are a content creator, because you are sort of a face of Fortnite to a larger community, your punishment should arguably be harsher.
Yeah, no.
No, you do not get special treatment because you make money off... Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is that famous and rich people that, make money off this game, that get famous off this game, should not be subject to the same rules as everyone else. Which is no.
Which is just no. Like you said earlier, Parker, no. No.
No.
Exactly.
And now, we go to Blizzard.
Yeah!
Again.
Did they have a oopsie whoopsie?
No, this is actually the opposite of an oopsie whoopsie. They actually had a bit of common sense.
Yes, in reference to the last oopsie whoopsie, if that's how you describe international incidents.
A little bit of a whoopsie daisy.
A little bit of a whoops.
So, Jeff Kaplan, the director of the Overwatch franchise, because we call it that now because there's going to be a second one.
There's a second one.
And a VP at Blizzard has finally commented publicly on the Blitzchung controversy. In an interview with the Washington Post, Kaplan said that he and the Overwatch team only learned about the suspension as it hit news sites, which, not great for a VP of the company, but...
Yeah, that sounds kind of odd.
He also said that the punishment process for things like this typically lasts 4 to 5 days, and that a lot of the VPs, including him, play devil's advocate for the violator, so they don't give something down too harsh, and that he was shocked by how fast and harsh this punishment was. It's almost like it wasn't being controlled by Blizzard, but by some sort of authoritarian government.
No, they swear up and down that ain't the case.
No.
It was their decision. It was their decision.
We can't talk about that.
He then said that he is glad the suspension was reduced and that Blitzchung's winnings were restored, but thinks the remaining suspension should be reduced or completely eliminated.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a VP of Blizzard in charge of arguably their biggest franchise right now, publicly saying this was bad, this is a mistake, and we should reverse it.
This is a VP of a company that said it basically sounds like he somehow had no idea that a lot of this was going on until much later, which how are you a VP and this slips by you?
Well, it makes it sound like this was being handled not because VPs are high up, but they're not the highest up. This sounds like it was probably the president of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, who we've mentioned a few times, and possibly just Activision, who's unfortunately above Blizzard in this. It's possible that a lot of Blizzard's higher-ups weren't even consulted about this. We've seen reports from that members inside the Hearthstone team didn't know that there was going to be this serious of a suspension, and that they didn't like it either. It looks like a lot of Blizzard didn't know what was going to happen before it happened.
That is a big... Sorry.
It's a giant yikes.
Yeah, that's a big ol' oof.
That's a...
Real big yikes.
Oof.
Welcome to Millennial Talk.
Oh. Hey. Okay, Boomer.
Anyways, let's talk.
Keep going.
Let's talk about the Halo franchise real quick.
I got him. I did it.
In particular, let's talk about the Halo TV series that is finally filming.
The prophecy. It is true. It's finally coming true.
The prophecy has come full circle.
What?
The show was first announced back in 2013 and was going to be produced by Steven Spielberg. 6 years later, it appears that Spielberg is no longer attached, but the show will star Master Chief from the main games, and it will be set during the Human Covenant War.
Nice.
It is set to air on Showtime in 2021.
Yes. Also, a few other tidbits. It looked like at one point Neil Blomkamp, who was supposed to direct the Halo movie before that died, was set to direct a few episodes, but it looks like he's no longer involved.
I miss that guy.
This show...
He's not dead. I just miss his work.
Yeah. He's doing, like, really short indie movie style things. He was releasing a bunch of films on Steam.
Really?
On
Yeah,
Steam.
there was back when they did that.
Wow.
There was one movie he did. It was After Chappie, I think, but it had the same guy who played in District 9. And it was like, basically it was about, it was a small movie. It was only like 6 people in the movie, and but high caliber actors for the New Zealand and South African, the South African countries. Like they were the high caliber actors there, but. Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job on those movies.
Honestly, I don't even care about Halo that much. I'm just happy this thing's finally getting made. That was my phone.
Nice.
Someday I will be less of a failure.
But not today.
Not today.
Honestly, I'm glad that it's finally filming as well. It's always kind of unfortunate when a project kind of gets put into limbo, gambit.
Development hell, they call it.
Yeah, but at least this one's finally going, you know.
Duke Nukem. 12 years.
We don't speak of Duke Nukem.
I think it was 13 years.
12 and a half is what it was. 12 and a half. 12 and a half. And a lot of that was like waiting for a firecracker to go off.
Yeah, I remember one guy for that actually pre-ordered it once it was announced from GameStop, and then 12 years later brought his receipt in, and they said, yeah, I technically, yes, you know, this is the same game, so here you go.
It reminds me of what I did with Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh, God, the PTSD.
Oh, sweet part.
I was there when we played it.
It always comes back to Colonial Marines.
Wow,
Anyways,
the prefabs were just so bad.
Let's talk about quite potentially one of the greatest filmmakers to have not yet hit Hollywood yet, but he will in the future.
I wouldn't call him the greatest, I'd call him the most. He's one of the most filmmakers. Hideo Kojima.
He makes no sense to me, and that speaks a lot.
Now, for those of you that somehow don't know who this is, this magical wizard man, Hideo Kojima is the creator of the Metal Gear series and most recently Death Stranding, which
Also
released
Silent Hill.
kind of. I think the only one he worked on was the one that got canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that was his only one, and they canceled it.
Oh, okay.
Can't
well, then
seal it.
I retract that statement then.
Yes, he's also behind the recently released Death Stranding, which released yesterday.
Yeah.
Which
They did?
yes,
Wow.
it did. So Kojima has said that in the future his studio plans on producing films as well as games, which if you've watched any of his cutscenes in his games, you'd think, hasn't he already been doing that for years now?
Wait, you mean he hasn't made a movie yet? I
Yes.
thought those Death Stranding trailers were just full-on Kojima movies.
Yes.
No.
You mean those hours and hours of cutscenes talking about nothing or the same thing over and over again were not
Yeah.
movies?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. You don't have to raise your voice now.
I will raise my voice, Parker. I will raise my voice, good sir.
You don't have to raise your voice now.
It's impossible for people to not raise their voice when talking about Hideo Kojima, and it's just I can't imagine what his idea for an actual movie would be.
Yeah.
Let me explain it to you. Yes.
Imagine there's a box. The box is completely painted red on the inside. And inside that box
Isn't it
is a
box?
swan.
This-
But that swan isn't actually a swan. It's a swan made of geese. 1,000 tiny geese.
Which
And
have
those
John
geese are
Travolta's
crying
head.
blood. And riding that swan is Norman Reedus.
And the whole thing was a metaphor about
And
society.
Neil Blomkamp is making music to it.
Yes.
Oh.
Now,
if
could
Conan
you-
O'Brien's not in that movie, I'll be so mad.
Yeah, Kojima is a well-known film buff to the point where Solid Snake was very directly inspired by Snake Plissken from Escape to New York.
Who
One
is
of my favorite movies of all time.
Who is Kurt Russell's character?
Yes.
Yeah.
He also expressed, I believe, that once all entertainment moves to streaming, which, let's face it, will happen, TV, games, and movies will all be competing in the same space and lead to new forms of entertainment. Which,
Ooh.
that's some big galaxy brain prophecy there.
Sounds like he's predicting some kind of like that game Quantum Break, where it was like a game, but it was also like a TV series.
I can't do a full T pose. I'm actually doing an inverted L pose, but you get half the dominance.
He is showing you a small fraction of what Hideo Kojima is capable of. A Parker in a T-pose. Now be seated, Parker,
This is what my life
for I
is.
must talk about one of my favorite Spider-Mans of all time.
Oh yes, you're very excited
Yes,
about this.
Very excited. Like I'm like just so dang excited
you're
about
over,
this.
You're over Mars.
I am over Mars. I am past the western spiral arm of the galaxy.
Wow,
Now,
that was a lot of astrological things that I didn't know about.
Now, I recently had a chance to watch Into the Spider-Verse, the latest animated Spider-Man movie, which was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
It was really good.
And recently we mentioned that there was an announcement that there is going to be a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse coming out, it was, I believe, 2020, 2021?
2020, I think it's 2022.
2022, I think, yeah. And there's been a lot of speculation as to the Spider-Men and Spider-Women that will be included in this upcoming sequel. But there's been one that has been confirmed. One that fans really wanted to be introduced. One that the studio kind of teased until they finally admitted that it's finally in the sequel.
Could you imagine? I'm sorry, I'm going off track again. Could you imagine if there was a David Bowie Spider-Man?
I could actually imagine that.
That'd be cool.
It wouldn't be the weirdest Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse.
And
It
he'd be like,
wouldn't be.
I'm going to shoot a web.
Now, Japanese
Starman.
Spider-Man, also known as Supaidaman, has been confirmed to appear in the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Phil Lord has confirmed in a tweet that the character is already designed. Japanese Spider-Man is the result of a deal between Toei and Marvel, where both companies were allowed to use the rights to certain characters. It was a 3-year deal. I forgot to jot that down in the script, though. But they were allowed to use each other's properties however they wanted, and Toei used Spider-Man.
So how do you? I'm sorry. How do you say Japanese Spider-Man's name?
Supaidaman.
Supaidaman. Okay.
Supaidaman. The TV show that this emissary from hell originates from, that's actually his nickname in the show, which premiered in 1978, was the first show of its kind to use a giant robot and predates the robots used in Super Sentai shows. This version of Spider-Man is Takuya Yamashiro, a motorcyclist who, after receiving the spider extract from an alien from the planet Spider, gains spider powers, along with a giant spaceship that turns into a giant mech Leopardon, which is canonically one of the strongest robots in the entire Marvel Universe.
This is a thing that happened.
It is a thing.
That was a lot of spidering.
A lot of spidering. He's got spider string, spider protector, and everything.
Also, doesn't he fight like Dr. Evil? Or
He fights Professor Monster at the
Professor
Iron
Monster.
Cross group.
on the Iron Cross?
Who releases aliens that become giant aliens that are known as machine bems.
Okay.
This is so far seems to be one of the few Spider-Men that have actually been confirmed to be in Into the Spider-Verse 2. Because a lot of fans had requested that they get put into it. The studio basically said if the first Spider-Verse hits a certain number in the box office, we'll use Spider-Man.
Oh my, did they reach that goal?
It was actually 10 million short.
But
then eventually, when someone on Twitter asked, actually it was the person who did the artwork for Kubo and the two strings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to do the design work for Spider-Man if they included it into the movie, and Phil Lord replied to that tweet saying that he's already designed.
Yeah, I think that 10 million was probably made up for by the Oscar win.
Probably. I like to think so. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it's one of the few ones that are confirmed. The whole series is archived actually on YouTube. You're more than welcome to check it out. I just got to see the first episode so far, and it's crazy insane. Still not the weirdest Spider-Man I've ever seen, though. Turkish Spider-Man kind of takes that cake. But with that being said, let's go on to the next little topic.
Yes, last bit of Marvel news, I promise. So, a while ago, it was announced that She-Hulk and Moon Knight would be receiving Disney Plus series. And now both of those have head writers. The first for She-Hulk is former Rick and Morty writer Jessica Gao. And she is probably best known for writing the episode Pickle Rick, for which she won a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program.
She wrote that one?
Yes, yeah. She wrote that one. She also helped write a few others in Season 3. I mean, she's a good writer. And it's just unfortunate that her, biggest piece of writing is one of the sort of toxic beacons of the Rick and Morty fan base.
The three immortal words.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Now, for Moon Knight, they've tapped Jeremy Slater, who is best known for helping develop Umbrella Academy for Netflix. Umbrella Academy was great. And I think this sort of indicates the tones they're going for. Kevin Feige previously said about She-Hulk, it's like nothing they've ever done before. So I'm guessing they're going to be going pretty hard comedy with it.
Oh yeah, She-Hulk always was kind of a comedy thing. Like, she had her superhero aspects, but her old school comics were kind of comedic relief. In a way. It was her being Hulk, but also day-to-day life and whatnot.
And then there's, Moon Knight, who is traditionally a darker character. So we've got this guy that, developed this. I mean, Umbrella Academy can be really funny at times, but it's overall very dark.
I didn't know Moon Knight was a character until I played Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Moon Knight was in that.
Recently in the comics, he was fused with Spider-Man to form Arachnite.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one.
And now for Ed's big thing. I've previously had the crisis management recurring segment where I talk about all the crisis casting.
Yes,
this is great.
My turn.
Because we get to talk about...
This is the Snyder Cut Status Report.
The big daddy boy doing enough pumps in the gym.
The most legendary film that supposedly exists.
Doing massive reps in the gym.
Massive reps. A lot of bench presses.
He's a big pump.
What is happening? Start talking about the news.
Now, hashtag release the Snyder Cut has been gaining so much popularity lately within the past week or two. Especially ever since Jason Momoa had stated that he had seen the Snyder Cut. It was almost completely finished and that the public needs to see it. And within this week, we've gotten 3 little bits of news updates regarding the Snyder Cut. And let's start off with Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Known for playing the role of Aquaman, of course, he recently leaked an image on his Instagram from the Snyder Cut.
He plays Aquaman? He plays Aquaman?
Yeah. Well, and anyways, this clip that was on Jason Momoa's Instagram showed Aquaman impaling Steppenwolf, the antagonist in the film, with his trident. He didn't reveal any information regarding the scene, only including the hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
Yes. It also, a little tidbit I learned, and I don't know how recent this is, but we've learned how Steppenwolf was originally supposed to die in the movie. In the final cut we got in theaters, he gets dragged back to Apokolips by a bunch of parademons because he felt fear. In the original movie, Superman was going to punch him in the head, so he flew into Wonder Woman's sword, decapitating him.
Yeah, and the leaked image actually kind of shows that, because you see Wonder Woman in the background kind of analyzing the situation while Aquaman has him impaled on the trident.
So he heard
Yes.
the criticism of Superman killing General Zod, and Zack Snyder just decided, screw you, I'll have him kill as many people as I want.
Yes.
Well, technically, it's not Superman that killed him.
Well, what you don't know is that when I made this film, when I made this film, as me, Zach, I was pumping iron one day, and I said, well,
What is his obsession with Zack Snyder and fitness?
He really wants Zack Snyder to bench him.
I propose to challenge Zack Snyder. Bench me, bro. Bench me. I'm talking. I'm not talking halfway. You got to get me. I'm gonna plank for you, and you have to pump me up. Do a full hang clean. That's what I'm asking for. A full hang clean, bench press up. That's what I want from you. That's
Anyways,
what I want.
this isn't
To Zack
even
Snyder.
this isn't even the only clip that got leaked this week. On Vero, I'm not really sure what the app is, but some kind of social platform. Zack Snyder recently shared a screenshot of a deleted scene in the Snyder Cut showing Barry Allen with Iris West, played by Kiersey Clemens, who wasn't in the final cut of Justice League.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on it.
Iris West plays an integral role in Barry Allen's story, and the Snyder Cut was supposed to be her theatrical debut. Ms. Clemens isn't the only one whose role was cut in the final product, as it was confirmed in the past that Ryan Choi was originally cast to play Darkseid in the Snyder Cut, and Peter Guinness was cast to play as Master Torturer and Servant Desaad. Clemens is still set to star as Iris in the solo Flash movie, which Ezra Miller has confirmed is still happening. The current director listed for the movie is It and It Chapter 2's director Andy Muschietti, though it has also been mentioned that it might get delayed due to Fantastic Beasts 3.
Yes, it's
Wait, they're making another one?
Yes.
Of course.
Why?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, and it's still going to have Johnny Depp in it.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Anyway, I believe there's somehow a third piece of news about Snyder Cut.
Yes!
And you thought this was a hoax.
Justice League visual effects supervisors John Desjardins and Brian Hirotaz confirmed that some of the visual effects scenes in the Snyder Cut were complete, while some were still unfinished. In a response to a tweet from Jeffrey Robertson addressing Jason Momoa claiming to have seen the Snyder Cut and pointing out the amount of effects done, John said, and I quote in a tweet, "Many visual effects shots are complete. Some percentage were various stages of completion, from early post-viz to almost done, but not quite." Which is something I wanted to point out, because one of the huge arguments against the Snyder Cut is that it's an incomplete film.
Yes, because Zack Snyder had to leave partway through filming.
Though he himself said that he has a full cut. It's just the visual effects ain't done.
I'm gonna be honest here, bro. I've been repping and I've been pumping and I've been thinking. It's just that I don't think there is a snack.
There is. There always will be.
I'm on your side.
Don't
I'm
you
on
dare.
Your side.
Don't you
I
dare.
don't
It
think-
exists. It is real.
I'm gonna
Zack
be honest
Snyder has
here.
said it. Momoa has said it. It is real, and Warner Brothers is keeping it from us because it's a conspiracy. The Illuminati does not want us to see the Snyder Cut.
I'll believe it when I get a physical copy of it.
Okay.
Just like Blade
you
Runner's
will.
Final Cut. It's like 30 of those things.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you run with blades. You're going to cut everything to pieces, and it's going to be impossible to put
tired-
I
back.
thought those
I'm-
were scissors, not
No.
blades.
We're not doing that. I don't do this pun stuff, okay? I have higher level comedy than that.
I'm not a
don't.
very punny person.
Oh my gosh. This is
Anyways, that's it for the Snyder Cut status report for this week. There's already gonna be
you're
like
a maniacal guy. Why are you laughing? Why?
now. Let's get
Why do you
into
torture me?
Let's get into our next segment, trailer talk, where we talk
Flapjack.
about some of the latest trailers to drop within the week, and we give our personal opinions on it. Starting off with the teaser trailer for Soul.
What?
Its U.S. release date is June 19th, 2020, starring Tina Fey, Jamie Foxx, John Ratzenberger, and many others. And it's directed by Pete Docter and Kemp Powers. The synopsis is that a musician who has lost his passion for music is transported out of his body and must find his way back with the help of an infant soul learning about herself. Now, of course, this is just a teaser, so we don't really have too much information on it, but I do have to admit, it looks like a refreshing film.
I have yet to see the teaser, but it's it's a Pixar film. You kind of know what it looks like when we say that.
Oh yeah, you can already imagine it, but it's nice because it's something fresh, something new.
Yeah.
You know? So I wanted to
They
mention.
might call it Febreze because it's so fresh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now-
You can play this game, all right? I'm done with you.
Now, segue. The Invisible Man trailer. Releasing February 28th, 2020, starring Elizabeth Moss, Oliver Jackson Cohen, etc., etc. The synopsis is that when Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by somebody nobody can see. Directed by Lee Whannell. I mean, this is an interesting looking trailer. I do have to admit. What are your thoughts on it?
It looks good. It looks like it will be very scary. There have been some concerns that the trailer showed off too much of the plot, but Lee Whannell has come out on Twitter and said, "Yeah, we really didn't, though." It should also be noted that Whannell is one of the co-creators of the Saw franchise, so.
Wait, yeah?
It means he might be able to. He co-created it and starred in a few of the early movies as Sam, I think that was his name. And from what I've heard from fans, is the first few Saw movies are the good ones, and it got worse as time went on.
1 to 3 was okay. The rest was just pandering.
Well, and this one does not have the sort of torture porn vibe that Saw does. This one looks like it's genuine psychological horror.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and the premise about the guy turning invisible was pretty interesting. They didn't really reflect on that too much. Like we got the hints that he was there, but not really until the end of the trailer did we see anybody kind of interacting with the Invisible Man.
Yeah, it should be noted that except for 1 or 2 shots towards the end of the trailer, they did not use the typical effect you get for invisible people, where it's like the air is distorted and you're seeing someone covered in like this weird reflective material.
Yeah, we also see somebody wrapped in bandages, which is a trope used in the Invisible Man. I don't think that's the person in particular.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because she was in a mental hospital at the time because people think she's insane because she's saying an invisible person's trying to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But all in all, it looks interesting. I mean, I admit I might not watch it.
Yeah, this is technically a part of Universal's Dark Universe, except ever since the failure of both their attempts to launch this thing, they've sort of completely 180'd on it. It's no longer a big connected universe. It's a series of filmmaker-driven, story-driven, standalone films that I believe all take place in the same world.
I honestly got that vibe when I watched the trailer, and the first thing that I noticed is that they decided not to include Dark Universe in the opening titles and whatnot. And I was like...
Because every time you see that, you're just like, boo.
Yes, because I think they've realized that at this point, that Dark Universe as a brand is just toxic.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You know.
Boo.
But anyways, that was it for trailer talk. And now was kind of going over some of the movies that are going to be coming out sometime in the future. Let's go over some of the films that are releasing this week.
And we've got actually quite a few of them. The first one, and I think probably the best thing so far, is Dr. Sleep.
Well, hello there.
A sequel to The Shining, though whether it's a sequel to it's complicated whether it's a sequel to the movie or just the book or whatever. A now-grown Daniel Torrance must protect another child with The Shining from a group that wishes to harm them, while also dealing with the ghosts from his past, sometimes quite literally. Its Rotten Tomatoes score is from critics is 73% and audiences is 91%.
I just like that Ewan McGregor's in it.
Yes.
Honestly, I agree with you there.
Well, hello there.
I think a lot of people have kind of been like that, too. They've kind of been wanting to see Ewan McGregor in more things lately.
Because Ewan McGregor's great, but Hollywood sort of ditched him after Star Wars.
Yeah, he was a great actor, but for some reason...
Trainspotting was good.
Yeah,
Trainspotting was a good
that was a good one.
But yeah, now we're getting him in this, we're getting him in Obi-Wan, we're getting him in Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for Birds of
Choose
Prey.
life. Choose a career. Choose a family.
Yes.
Anyways.
Next up is Last Christmas. A young woman who has been continuously unlucky accepts a job as a department store elf during the holidays. When she meets Tom on the job, her life takes a turn. Rotten Tomatoes score is from critics, it's 49%, and from audience, it's 80%. Now, I actually haven't seen much about this until recently because the lead actress, Emilia Clarke, got upset that a certain plot elements were leaked online beforehand. Now, I don't know what they are. I haven't really looked into them, so just be wary of that if you want to see this.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm not really surprised by the ratings here. I've seen the trailers. It always pops up on TV and whatnot. It just looks like your staple Hallmark Channel Christmas special.
Oh, shit, let's talk about this. This is a Christmas movie releasing on November 9th. I mean, I get the entire, we have to start playing...
Christmas.
Yeah, we start playing Christmas music the day after Halloween.
Very
And
next day.
But
you
think you'd release a Christmas movie at least in the same month as Christmas.
All I want for Christmas
is my tooth front teeth.
No, is you. I want you.
Very heartwarming. But
Next
let's get on with it.
is Playing with Fire. When straight-laced fire superintendent Jake Carson and his elite team of firefighters come to the rescue of 3 siblings, they quickly realize that no amount of training could prepare them for the most challenging job yet: babysitting. Now, as you might tell from that description, the Rotten Tomatoes score from critics is 24%.
No.
And the audience score is 82%.
We've been here before. We're not doing this again.
That's exactly what it felt like seeing the trailers. You see John Cena and everybody in it. And
Oh god,
it's
it's John Cena.
yeah, John Cena, Keegan-Michael
guys-
Key.
you guys remember-
Michael
you guys
Pena
remember-
was in it.
That movie that Hulk Hogan was in, where he had where he was basically doing the same thing as a babysitter.
That's the vibe I got from this. Saw the trailers and it's like the premise is supposed to be like, oh, so wacky. They're in the fire
then there's the
department, antics and hijinks.
Then there's the pacifier that came out in 2004 with Vin Diesel, which was actually
That one wasn't that bad.
pretty good. I like that one. I was
Yeah.
alright.
Now, our last film is Midway. Now, this historical film covers the Battle of Midway, a pivotal clash between the U.S. and Japanese forces during World War II.
Night Owl's in it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Night Owl's in that.
Its Rotten Tomatoes score from critics is 40%, audience is 90%, and I actually had a friend that went to see it, and he said it was better than Pearl Harbor.
Anything's better than Pearl Harbor.
In that it had
Yeah.
no love triangle, and unlike most movies that cover the fights between the Japanese and Americans during World War II, it actually showed some of the Japanese side. Like, one of the only big films to do that is Tora Tora Tora, and that's from, I think, the 70s at least?
Yeah.
I mean, from
Which had really good really good practical effects on that one. That was really good.
I'm glad that the audience score is very high.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not surprised by the critics. Usually when it comes to movies that are about the war, one of the common things that almost every critic says is that, oh, it's the same material. I mean, of course it's the same material.
Yeah.
It's based off of history.
Fun fact, history does not change to be more interesting for films.
Exactly, which is important, But on that same note, you can only show the same event over and over without, starting to lose originality and whatnot. Which is why critics always give war movies this. They always put it under this microscope because they have to try and find something new that's done in it.
Yeah.
It's the tropes of a trope of a trope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
History in itself is a trope, so you know.
Honestly, critics-wise, it isn't doing well, but it does seem like, the audiences that are seeing it are generally liking it.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, usually war movies have a pretty good rating from audiences, most of the time at least.
Yeah, this is, these types of movies tend to be pretty pro-U.S., and apparently there's a lot of pro-Britain sentiment in here, too.
Okay.
America.
And actually
Heck yeah.
showing the Japanese side is, fairly oddly progressive for movies. I mean, yeah. Anyway, it seems like it might be good. It has a Jonas brother in it. Don't know which one, but it's one of them.
Oh, that's wholesome.
I guess.
Anyways, we have
Nick
reached...
and Nora?
That's one of my favorite rom-coms. Anyways,
Honestly, I didn't even know that was a thing. I just said Nick and Nora. I thought.
He's
Nick
just
and
saying
Nora's
words.
Infinite Playlist.
He's just saying words. Keep moving.
Anyways, we have reached the end of today's episode.
I was
Final words.
I was aggressive and then very gentle.
Thank you.
Or
Okay, here he goes. Just let him get it out. Come on. Come on.
is it?
Come on.
Because the
Yeah.
thing is because we need to look into the Zack Snyder cut. I don't know what's going on. So basically, what's
I honestly
happening?
thought I was going to do the
Investi-
segue in the Snyder Cut. Okay.
Investigate 311 because that's a band I haven't seen in a while. Well, I saw them one time,
I
but
believe it's pronounced 311.
I thought you were talking about the element from Black Ops Zombies.
no. Three, is it 311?
I think it's 311.
311?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know where they got that name from. Where did that come from? Where did it come from?
It's
Where
at
do
the
these
area
numbers come
code.
from? What does it mean? What are the numbers under the subtext here? And what
Okay,
happens
Mason.
with this? Mason? Oh. Every time it goes to a
Explain
Black
the
Ops
numbers,
reference.
Mason.
What are the numbers, Mason?
What are the numbers, Mason?
Where are the numbers, Mason? What do they
Mason?
mean?
What do they mean? I don't know. By the way, can we talk about... Okay, I do have to bring this up.
Okay, what are we going to talk about?
So, Sam Worthington? Is that
Yeah.
what his name was? Did
I-
he play that?
Maybe?
He was in Terminator Salvation?
Yeah.
Sam Worthington?
Uh-huh.
He does really bad American accents.
Yeah, well, you know.
He does...
They can't all do a perfect American
That's what I
accent.
said.
You'd think one of them could. Of all the British actors they cast away Americans, you'd think they'd get at least one.
Daniel
Like-
Craig can.
The guy from the first Fantastic Four movie.
No, I meant in Terminator Salvation. There were
No,
like 3 British actors in there that could not pull off the American accent.
What?
Oh,
British- one
Joshua
of the other-
Hacker just jumped in and they said it's actually 115.
115. Okay.
But that's the element from Black Ops Zombies.
That's
Yeah.
element 115. That makes sense now. Thank you. I needed clarification because the thing,
Citation needed.
citation absolutely needed. Don't take anything I say for granted. So,
Uh-huh.
granted?
For
Granted.
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 Either way is acceptable in our society.
And so Sam Worthington, well, I just want to talk about how fast he fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
He's one of those actors that they tried to make big in this Blitz, like he was in Black Ops and he was in all these movies, but just no one really cared
Just like,
about
I
him.
think of him as like, if I had to define the early 2000s, it's him.
Remember Army Hammer?
Army.
Oh, yeah. I only remember him because that name sounded awesome.
Army,
Yeah.
Army Hammer.
Yeah, at one point he was going to play Superman.
Yeah.
And he was in the Social Network as both Winklevoss twins.
Oh yeah, I remember
Wasn't
that
he
guy.
under consideration for a role in the Batman back when Ben Affleck was working on it?
I think so.
No. Actually, I think that was one of the people that people speculated to be Batman after Batfleck left. That's right.
Yeah.
Like if I had to define the early 2000, the late 2000s, is that the late 2000s? 2010s.
I'd say the late 2000s.
Yeah, like 2010s, the early 2010s. That's what I'm looking for. The early 2010s is Sam Worthington. He defines it for me. He defines my childhood because of Terminator Salvation and Black Ops.
Well, that's a depressing definition for your childhood.
I mean, as far as like pop culture goes, you know,
Yeah, I mean, Terminator Salvation is...
we don't
Oh.
talk. We don't. I at the time I was 10, so I enjoyed it. But
Yeah. I was there too. I
Mm-hmm.
remember it.
I remember going to the midnight. Did I go to the midnight show? I think it was the midnight show. Was it midnight? I think it was the midnight showing of that movie.
Mhm.
Why? Why did my parents? I also went to the midnight showing of Twilight
Why?
and New Moon. My dad was really into to Twilight and New Moon. He read all the books, and he watched all the movies.
Okay.
He took us to the midnight showing.
This is going to be the rest of the show,
Twilight.
folks.
Yeah, I'm giving you guys the rundown. Anyways, back to my ramblings. Why?
Like we left them?
Yeah.
Why? Who?
We have about 2 or so more minutes to spare. Let's dabble on this.
Why?
Why
Why?
do you encourage him?
Because people. That's what I'm saying.
Because we're doing it live.
Economics, string theory. What do those have in common? I don't know.
Quantum engineering.
Quantum flux capacitors. What do those things mean? Are those buzzwords? No, because I just made them up. And why do you think I made them up? Because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But it works 60% of the time.
Because he's powered on giggity watts.
Giggity. Giggity watts. Giggity.
Anyways, we do have to wrap things up here.
Do we?
Be sure to tune in every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 2 here on the Voice of San Joaquin.
What are you watching there?
Looking at Twitter.
Why?
You
Pay
know why.
attention to me.
No.
Where we
I
cover
need constant approval.
all things pop culture
What about
related.
how our interactions work is approval to you.
Anything from movies to video games to TV shows to comic books,
That's
you
right,
name
you
it,
hunchback out of frame.
and we will do our very best to cover it. Now, be sure to tune in tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook page for the Phone Booth No Comment. A lot more laid back than we are right now, if that's believable. And now, with that being said,
Go that way. There's space that way.
I have to wrap. We have to wrap this up. I have to say my name.
yeah. Now, with that being said, my name is Edward Heitman. Joining me in the studio are my friends. Go ahead and introduce yourselves before we wrap
they
it
know
up.
who I
it's
am.
not intro, it's an extra.
I'm not. A, it's an outro, and B, we never introduce ourselves. You just say our names.
Well, you don't want to do it this time?
I'm the Birdman.
Why are
I'm
we
Parker-
changing?
All right, fine. My
I'm
name is-
Brian. There we go.
I'm Parker Birdman Spurlin.
What the?
There we go. Now, with that being said, please have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Y'all take care now.